Shahriyar's story. We are with you with another story from Shahriyar's story. To support us, please subscribe us and turn on the notification and subscribe this video. This story is real and we changed the name of the people. I wanted to tell you the story of my aunt's betrayal. I am 3 years old. My father is a retired teacher, and my mother is a housewife. We are financially normal. I have a slight age difference with my mother's family. For this reason, I always had a good relationship with my aunt and uncle, especially my aunt, who was 15 years older than me. I have an open family, and I wasn't restricted from going out with boys. And I always had a boyfriend, since I knew my left and right hands. I fell in love with a boy when I was 23 years old. At the same time, my aunt married an Arab man, and they moved together from Iran. And my aunt's marriage made me think of marriage. Behruz introduced me to his family, and they came to propose to me. We had been engaged for several months to prepare for the wedding, and Behruz was my ideal man. But one day, when we went out together, Behruz went to buy fruit juice, and a missed call fell on his cell phone. A message was written: "If you could let me know so I could call you. I would miss you." It was the same number. I called that number. She was a girl. I broke up with Behruz, and I lost trust in all men. And I met every man. I said from the beginning that we will not have a s.ex until we get married. A few years later, my aunt had made money abroad. She bought a house and a car. "What your job were?" I asked her. "I have entered in the business," she answered. Time passed until 2 years ago when I met John. He was handsome. A friend of mine introduced us to each other. "We won't have s.ex until we get married," I said. "No problem," John said. Time passed, and he did what he said. Even at first, I kissed him. Because I had a good relationship with my aunt, I sent her a photo of John. "John is handsome," she said. A year later, my aunt came to our house, and John and I were in a relationship and talking about marriage. One day when my mother wasn't home, my aunt told me make a video call with John. I called so that my aunt would not be upset. We talked to John for 10 minutes. My aunt told me to make an appointment with John to see him tomorrow. Next day, we ate at a restaurant. My aunt was wearing a beautiful dress. At night, my aunt told me I like John. He's attractive. Help me have s.ex with him. I will help you to immigrate.
I was surprised. She told me, if you do not help me, you will live in poverty in this country. I said nothing and brushed my teeth and slept. Next day in the morning, my aunt asked me, "Did you think about it?" "I love John. I want to marry him." "You have a husband," I replied. "My husband doesn't understand," she said. "You get rich," she said. I wanted to test whether John betrays me like Behruz or not. I told my aunt that I would invite John for dinner. Then I would leave the house for half an hour, under the pretext. Then you and he would be alone. My aunt was happy. I invited John for dinner and left the house under the pretext of buying fruit. John wanted to go instead of me to buy, but I said, "You don't know where the store is." "I am going. You and my aunt stay home. I'll be back soon." I left the house and waited near the house. I was stressed. After 10 minutes, John called me. He was angry. "What happened?" I asked. "Ask your aunt," he answered. When I returned the house, my aunt shouted, "You told him," she said. "I didn't tell John," I said, but she didn't believe it. I admired John. My aunt got angry with me and returned her house. John proposed to me 2 months later, and my aunt got angry with me and did not do what she said. But I don't care, and I'm happy with my husband John. If you want to share your life story with us, please send it to this email address.